So all you're going to need today, just for this basic connecting level class for Pilates, is a mat. If you do have any knee issues, you might want to have maybe a blanket or a folded up towel to give yourself some extra padding under the knees. And if you have any sort of neck strain or lower back strain, you can use that same pad, that towel or the cushion under your head or underneath your pelvis and lower back. But I'll sort of give you some ideas about when you can pull on those props and use them as you need. Okay, so we're going to start in a standing position. So please come and stand at the back end of your mats and separate your feet just to about hip width apart. If you take a look down at your toes, you want to make sure your big toes are in line with each other. Just stand up nice and tall. Take a moment to roll your shoulders back and around a few times. And then just let your arms settle beside you and close your eyes for a moment. If you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes completely, then just allow your gaze to soften gently. And we're just going to pause for a moment to observe how our bodies feel, to observe how our bodies are standing and suspended in this position. So start by bringing your awareness to the soles of your feet. And we have over 7,000 nerve endings into our feet. And it's going to tell you the type of surface that you're standing on. It's going to help you balance the rest of your body as you stand upright. And notice if you're standing evenly on the right and the left foot. Notice if perhaps you are standing more on your toes or more on your heels. And then just center yourself as best you can. And then bring your awareness to your knee joints. Make sure that you're not locking the knees back. Just allow your knees to be soft and juicy and pliable so you're ready to move. Bring your awareness to your hips and your pelvis. And just let your pelvis balance evenly on the tops of your two thigh bones. Start to create space between each of the vertebrae of your spine, creating space along the lumbar spine and the lower back, creating space along the thoracic spine where your ribs are, maybe give your ribs a little wiggle, and then creating space along the cervical spine, that is your neck, and then allow your head to just wobble on top. Let your eyes melt backwards into your head so that you are releasing any tension and frown lines around your forehead, your eyes, the tops of your cheeks. And then take a moment to notice your scapula, your shoulder blades sitting on the back of your ribs. So maybe just give those a little bit of a wiggle around, let them move up and down, and then just let them settle in a natural, easy place. Bring your awareness to your shoulders, right and left, your elbows, right and left, your wrists, right and left, and then just allow your fingertips to naturally curl, let them settle into space. And we're going to take 5 deep breaths in and out. So we're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. 4 more. And as you breathe in, feel your ribs expand wide. And breathe out, feel the rib cage close. And again, as you breathe in, inflating your lungs. Breathe out and empty your lungs. 2 more times. We breathe in and feel the heart get a little hug. Breathe out and allow the space around your heart. And just 1 more time, taking a deep breath in, feel a gentle flattening of the belly. And exhale, feeling a gentle lift of the pelvic floor. And then blink your eyes open, and we're going to start with a roll down. So take a breath in, and then as you breathe out, just look towards your toes, and we're just going to roll halfway down. So you roll down until your hands are literally just in front of your knees. And if you pause there for a moment, you can notice how the shape of your spine has changed. You've gone into a rounded spine, or what we call a flexed spine. Notice where you're feeling any kind of stretch or pull. And then on your next breath, continue rolling forward. So now you're going to fold over from the crease of the hip. So as you come all the way down, if you're quite flexible, your fingertips might actually touch the floor, but if not, just let your hands rest on your shins or wherever you are. And if you stay here for a moment, can you feel now that the tension, the stretch, has moved into the back of the legs? Take a little breath in, and then exhale, start rolling back up. And we really want to activate the abdominals here. We want to activate the bum cheeks, because that's going to help support the lower back. Come all the way up. Take a moment here to pause, find your balance, and then just roll the shoulders back and around. And focus now on squeezing the scapula together behind you. So you're going to start to activate some muscles there called the rhomboids. Those are muscles between the shoulder blades. And you're also going to activate some muscles called the middle and lower trapezius muscles. And we're going to do one more time, just giving them a little bit of a squeeze, and then hold it there for a moment. I'm going to turn to face you. Place your fingertips onto your shoulders, and you're going to keep the shoulders nice and level. Turn your head to your right. So I'm doing a mirror image for you. Turn your head to your right, and then tilt your chin down as if you're going to sniff your armpit, and then do whatever you need to do to your head position and your neck position so that you find a stretch down the left side of your neck, and then stay there. If it feels like a really strong stretch, you don't do anything else. But if you want an extra stretch, why don't you take your left fingertips and reach them down towards the floor? So it's adding some tensioning down that left line of the arm. Make sure that you can breathe. And this is where we start to use our breath to help us release the muscles and the fascia. And on your next breath, put your fingertips back to your shoulders, and then slowly bring your head up and bring your head back to the center. Stay for a moment. Don't move the shoulders. Turn your head to the left now, and then tilt your chin down. And once again, play with the position of your head and neck until you feel a little bit of a release around the right side of the neck. If you want an extra stretch, take your right hand and reach the fingertips down, and make sure that you can breathe. So these muscles around the neck sometimes get very tight just because of our work on computers, on laptops, maybe just our posture that we have. So it could be quite intense for some of us. And then place your fingertip back to your shoulder. Bring your head up, bring your head back to the center. And this time take both hands and reach them up. Inhale. Exhale, big opening with your arms. Open up across the front of the chest, and then just allow your arms to relax. I'm turning sideways again. We're going into our second roll down. So take a breath. Exhale to look towards your feet. And just feel that gentle articulation of the spine just until your hands are in front of your knees. Stay here. Observe if there's any release or shift taking place. And then continue rolling forward, coming all the way down, and just observing how the stretch moves into the back of the legs here. Notice where you feel it the most. And then rolling back up into standing, abdominals connecting, bum cheeks are active, coming all the way back up. Take take a moment to balance and to focus your eye line. And once again, roll the shoulders back and around. But this time our focus is on the opening across the chest. So now you feel that opening from the sternum, that breastbone, all the way out towards the shoulders. And we're going to do just one more time, and then just let your arms settle. So again, I'm doing a mirror image of you. Soften your knees slightly, bringing your right hand out to the side, bringing that arm up and over, and we go into a lateral flexion. And then come all the way up and let that arm come all the way down. And we go again, reaching the arm out. Coming up and over, this time reaching to the opposite side, lateral flexion. And release, coming all the way back. Let's do one more time on each side. So we're going to bring the arm up and over. And if you want to, you can push your hip to the side as long as your lower back likes it. Coming up. So this is now releasing those side lines of the body. And these side lines, the lateral lines, can get very locked because of how much we sit nowadays. And release and stay where you are. So again, we're going to do our third and final roll down. Take a breath, grow nice and tall. Exhale as you look towards your feet, and let's roll halfway down. So we're just coming until the hands are just in line with the knees. Pause, observe, and then continue rolling all the way forward. So you're folding over from the crease of the hip, fingertips connect to the ground, and you stay right here. Now let's do a little bending of the knees. And then straighten your legs as much as your flexibility allows. So you might get a stretch in the calf or up a little bit higher. And again, bending the knees. And sending your sit bones upwards. And guys, keep going. It doesn't matter if your legs straighten or not. As long as you can feel a stretch, that is the most important thing. And we're going to do one more time. Bending the knees. And extending the knees. And now bend your knees and start to walk all the way down until you bring your wrists underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. And I want you to stay here for a moment in a 4-point position. Middle finger pointing forward, other fingers are spread out. And I want you to close your eyes. Think of reaching forward through the crown of your head and reaching backwards through your tail. And I want you to get 60 or 70% of your body weight on your thumb and your index finger. So if you feel that you're putting too much pressure on your baby finger, then please move your hands and arms however you need to adjust that pressure point. We want the weight bearing on that thumb end. And then open your eyes and let's just start to shift our body weight backwards and forwards. And as you bring your body weight backwards, notice how you get a little connection into these muscles on the back. And as you come a little bit forwards, notice how you get a little bit of tightening around the lower abdominals. So taking our body weight back wakes up a muscle called the latissimus dorsi, and bringing our body weight forwards wakes up the lower attachments of the abdominals that connect to the pelvis. So we're just going to take 2 more. And we're going to take 1 more. And now just bring yourself so that you are centered and hold it there. Tuck your toes under. Start pushing into your hands and into your feet. And if you can, lift your knees up off the ground. So now we're starting to weight bear. We're starting to load all the major joints of the body. So bring your awareness to your wrists, your elbows, your shoulders, your ankles, your knees, your hips, and then very importantly, notice your spine, all those muscles that have to spine from the back and the front. And now release your knees down, relax your feet out, and hold it there. Let's do a cat stretch. Start by tucking your tail under so you get the lower abs connected. Then keep rounding, so you're pushing away from your hands, and then tuck your chin in. There is your cat stretch. Now start lengthening your tailbone out, and you can either just return to neutral, or if your back feels ready for it, you can lift your tail, lift your heart, and lift your eye line. So that's an extended position. And again, rounding through the spine. So it's really about finding that wave that moves through your spine, as opposed to just hitting each position at the end. Think about the journey that your spine is going through as you move. Keep going at your own pace. You don't have to go at the same pace as me, but become aware of how your breathing connects to your movement. And I don't mind if you're inhaling or exhaling on any given movement, as long as you can find those connections. And now return yourself just to neutral. Let's all meet here and stay here for a moment. Now, balance on your left hand and reach the right arm out to the side. And then coming into thread the needle. So if you can, you let your head and arm rest on the floor. If that's uncomfortable, then put a little pillow underneath your head or underneath your shoulder. And now you can stay here if you like, or why don't you slide your left hand forward? So you start to get that beautiful stretch all the way down the side of the body. Make sure that you can breathe. And then taking a few moments here just to simply observe, where is this registering on your body today? Because each of us is going to be different, and each day is going to be different. And on your next breath, slide your left hand back in, press all the way up, and now reach the right arm out to the side again. So that's how we demonstrate control of our movements. And then putting the right hand back down. Take a moment to say to yourself, left arm reaches out to the side, and coming into a thread the needle, placing head, placing shoulder. Remember to give yourself any props and support that you need. And then if it feels good for you, slide the right hand out and away, and breathe. Notice where this is registering on this left side. How does it feel in comparison? And then slide the right hand in, press all the way up, and reach the left arm to the side. So there's control over your body. And then bringing the hands back underneath you. So once again, get your wrists into a happy place. Take the right leg, slide it back, and then just stay there for a moment so your tippy toe is on the floor. You want to double check that your pelvis and your shoulders are squared to the mat. So you're not rolling the pelvis and you're not dropping into the lower back in any way. Now see if you can pick up that right leg without arching the lumbar spine. So that means your bum cheek, the gluteus maximus, has to work. And then lower the leg down again. Let's do that again. You lift the leg up, and the lower abdominals have to help stabilize. And release it down. Let's do two more. Gluteus maximus and lower abdominals work together. And down. And now just one more time. Lift your leg up and stay there. Flex the right foot so you're pushing out through the heel. And just notice if that helps you switch on your bum cheek a little bit more. Can you walk the left fingertips forward? Just balance there for a moment, and then when you're ready, pick up the left arm. We stay here for 3, 2. Notice your hand and foot on the ground working. 1. And then bring your hand in, point your toe, and bringing the knee all the way in. Stay here for a moment. Round your spine like a cat. Stay here. Move your hips halfway back. Stay here. And then push up onto the tips of the fingers so that you get a little bit of a release on the wrists. And you should be getting quite a lovely stretch across the lumbar spine and making down into the sacrum here. Relaxing into the back of your neck. And then put your hands flat. Bring yourself forward and lengthen your spine back to neutral. Make any adjustments you need. Left leg extends back. Stay here. Double check your alignment for your shoulders and your pelvis. And then pick up the leg without moving the pelvis and the lumbar spine. And then lower your leg down again. And again, lift your leg up. Gluteus maximus, that's the big, powerful bum cheek. And release. Lift up your leg. Lower abs are working with the gluteals. And release. One more time. Lift up. Stay here for a moment. Now, guys, don't let your heads collapse. Remember that you have energy through your crown. Flex the back foot. So now you're pushing through the heel. Wake up the gluteals. And see if you can walk the right fingertips forward. When you're ready, pick up that right hand, and now you're balancing. So in yoga, they call this bird dog. And in Pilates, we call it 4-point cross-patterning. Notice how you're balancing on the left hand and the right knee. Bring your right hand down, point your toe, bring that knee all the way in. And once again, cat stretch, round your spine. Sit back halfway. Pause here for a moment. Push up onto the tips of the fingers. So you're giving your wrists a little bit of a break. A little bit of a stretch through the centers of the palms of the hands. Relax your neck. And then on your next breath, place your hands flat. Coming forward, and then lengthening your spine all the way out. So open your knees, place the big toes together so that you're sitting back. So guys, if your knees don't like this, then give yourself a little bit of a cushion behind the knees. And bring your head all the way down. And don't worry about straightening the arms. Let your elbows bend today. Just find complete ease through the neck and shoulders. And we're going to do just a little reminder about our pelvic floors. So the pelvic floor is a hammock of muscles that connects from the pubic bone to the tailbone. Men and women have pelvic floors, and we want to make sure that they're strong and flexible, so it's like a trampoline, so that it supports our internal organs from underneath, so it works against gravity. We're going to start with the front pelvic floor, and I want you to think, I will not wee. And which are those muscles that you need to squeeze to stop yourself from weeing? All right. Take a nice, easy breath in. Start breathing out, squeezing the front pelvic floor. I will not wee. Keep squeezing. Can you find the connection? And relax. Take another breath in. Start breathing out. I will not wee. Keep squeezing. Keep squeezing. Finding your connections. And relax. And let's take one more time. Take a breath in. And exhale. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. How strong does it feel for you today? And relax. You can stay as you are. And now we're going to move to the back pelvic floor. And these are the muscles that control the bowels. So now what I want you to think is, I will not pass wind. And which are those internal muscles that you need to squeeze? Take a breath in. Start breathing out. And I will not pass wind. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And relax. Take a breath in. And exhale, squeezing back pelvic floor. Can you find the connection and how strong does it feel? And one more time, take a breath in. And exhale, squeeze. I will not pass wind. Keep squeezing, keep squeezing, keep squeezing. And relax. And start walking your hands towards your knees so you can roll upright into a seated position. I'm going to turn to face you and I'm going to do a mirror image. Take your feet out to the right side so that you're sitting on your left hip. And then you're going to hold on to your right ankle with your right hand. So you're kind of sitting like a mermaid. And then your left arm comes up. And you're just going to start to stretch over. And then bend the top elbow so that you're just letting your hand, your forearm, rest lightly on your head. And then stay here for 3 breaths in and out. So you're directing your breath into the left side of the body, the left lungs. Notice that release all the way down the side of the body. And then slowly opening your eyes, stretching your elbow, and making your way all the way up. Now put that fingertip lightly behind you, moving your hand over to the left knee. Help yourself sit up straight, and then just start to come into a gentle twist. So this is called an open twist. It should feel quite easy and light. Looking over the left shoulder without forcing. 3 breaths in and out. And again, just giving yourself a chance to observe how your body feels with all of these movements today. Release to come back to the center, and then pivot yourself so that you bring your feet over to the other side. So now you're going to be holding onto the left ankle with the left hand. Get yourself into a comfortable seat. Right arm comes up, leaning across. Don't force it, just let yourself find the position. And then bend the elbow so that you're resting your arm lightly. And again, feel free to close eyes. 3 breaths in and out. Notice the opening along the side of the body, into the ribs, the lungs, the diaphragm. Open your eyes. Release your arm first. Let your arm bring you all the way back up. Place your fingertips just a little bit behind you on the floor. Hand to opposite knee, sit up straight, and coming into your open twist. So this is the first twist that we've done in today's class. So you don't want to force it. Make sure that you can breathe. And then release and coming to the front. Now just pivot so that you are seated. Come a little bit forward on your mat so that you've got some place to lie down behind you. Knees bent, separate your knees and feet slightly, and let your arms come all the way forward. Sit up straight as you breathe in. Exhale as you round your spine, and we're going halfway back. So this is called a half roll back. And you want to take it to a point where you feel a connection to your core, but there's no strain in your back. And you have to be able to keep your heels of your feet down. And then come forward and lift up nice and tall. And again, curl back halfway. Notice how your rib cage rounds as your spine rounds. Take a breath in and breathe out. Lift up nice and tall. And again, half roll back. Notice how your scapula glide wide as you change the shape of your ribs. Forward you come. Lift up tall, and this is our last one. Exhale, half roll back. Abdominal muscles connected. Stay here for 1 more breath in, and then roll down onto your backs. And if you need to use your hands to help you, feel free to do so. Just allow your arms to float up just in line with your shoulders, And then you can either wiggle your hips closer to your feet or bring your feet a little closer to your pelvis. And then just stay there for a moment, close your eyes, and just feel the points of contact of your body onto the ground. Notice your feet. Notice your pelvis, your sacrum. And then I have a little bit of a hollow in my lower back, but you might feel that you almost are touching your lower back to the ground. So just notice that on your own body. And then notice the back of your ribs and your shoulders and the back of your head where it's resting to the ground. And then open your eyes and we start to scissor the arms. So one arm goes back as one arm comes forward, and then we switch. And we want to be able to synchronize this movement. So it is like a pair of scissors. One arm doesn't get to move unless the other one is moving. And then are you able to keep the elbows and the wrists straight without hunching up the neck and shoulders? So if this is quite tight for you, you might notice that you're not doing a huge movement, and that's absolutely fine. Then rather keep it a small movement. Bring your awareness to your scapula, your shoulder blades behind your body. And imagine that they are two slippery bars of soap, and the soap is gliding up and down your rib cage as your arms move. It should be doing that. That is the natural movement of the scapula with the arms. And then bring both your arms up, hold it there for a moment, and then bend your elbows. And I want you to just place your hands onto those two little bony landmarks at the front of your pelvis here. And we're going to start tilting the pelvis backwards and forwards. So as you move your pelvis, start to notice how the lower spine, the lumbar spine, changes shape because they're connected. So when you tip your pubic bone towards your nose, you're going into what's called an imprint. And then when you bring your pelvis back to neutral, you should get a little bit of a natural hollow into the lower back again. Keep this going and start to notice again the wave that travels up your spine as you tilt the pelvis. So I feel quite a strong movement around my rib cage as well. I can feel my ribs almost getting pushed into the floor and then releasing. And then it's not a very big movement, but I'm quite aware of how my head is rolling very slightly on the mat as I shift my pelvis as well. And this is quite important to notice because your spine is the bridge. It's the connection between your lower body and your upper body. So there's a ripple effect that happens here through the spine. And now just settle yourself in a neutral position. So if you put your hands on your pelvis, you should be able to balance a cappuccino on your lower belly right now. If it feels like your lower back is straining and you don't like that position, then feel free to tilt your pelvis if that's what your body needs, okay? Once you're in a happy place, I want you to stabilize. When you're ready, I want you to see if you can pick up your right leg to a tabletop position, and were you able to stabilize the pelvis and the lumbar spine? And then place your foot down again with control. Now see if you can do the same thing with the left leg. Pick up your left knee to tabletop, and were you able to keep lumbar spine and pelvis still? and then placing your foot back down. Now just keep alternating leg lifts. Go at your own pace, but start to connect your breathing to your movement. So at no point in Pilates are we holding our breath. You are breathing with every movement. And figure out for yourself, do you prefer inhaling or exhaling when you lift your leg? And do you prefer inhaling or exhaling when you lower your leg? Let's take a few more. This movement that we're doing is called disassociation of the hip. And it's a very functional movement. We should be able to move our legs independently of our pelvis and our lumbar spine. And a lot of us can't. So this is an important move to be able to master on your own body. And then place your foot down and pause there for a moment. So double check that your knees and feet are still hip distance apart, that they're in line with each other, and then bring your hands down. Palms down or palms up, it doesn't matter. What feels good for your neck and shoulders. We're gonna go up into a pelvic curl now. So do that same tilting of the pelvis that we did, and then roll your hips up off the mat. And as you bring your pelvis up, stay here for a moment, close your eyes, and notice on your own body which muscles are holding you here. Is it your hamstrings at the back of the leg? Is it your gluteus maximus, your bum cheeks? Is it your lower back maybe? Maybe you can really feel that your arms are working hard. So just notice and then open your eyes, and on your next breath, start to ripple down through the spine. See if you can control the movement, the articulation of your spine as you come all the way down. So we're going to do that again. Feel free to move your hands or feet if you need. Tilting your hips, rolling up. Ideally, we want your gluteus maximus to be the main muscle working here. So if your lower back is taking over, please don't lift up as high. If your hamstrings are taking over, could you perhaps tilt your pubic bone towards your nose and see if you can get the gluteals to work a little bit more. Roll down through your spine, imprint into the lower back, and release your pelvis at the bottom. We're going to do two more. Pelvic curl. Tilting your hips. Rolling up into a bridge. Stay for a moment. Relax your neck if you can. And then ripple down. Each vertebra touches. Consciously, deliberately, and release. Last one, let's make it the best one. Up into your shoulder bridge. Stay here for a moment. Nice squeeze in the bum cheeks. And then down through the spine. Keep breathing. And release at the bottom. Hug your right knee in towards your chest. And if you're pretty flexible, you could maybe stretch the left leg out along the floor. If you don't like that, then just keep the knee bent. Slip your hands just behind that right thigh, flexing that foot. And then as you breathe out, stretch that right leg up. So now again, you're going to get a release along the back of the leg, and then bend in your knee and release. Good. Connect your movement to your breath. And release. Two more. And just observe on yourself, when you straighten your leg, are you still able to keep your head and shoulders nice and easy? And release. One more time, because you might find when you stretch the hamstring that you almost need to compensate with your head and shoulders. So See where you can find a happy medium between the two. And release. And now stretching that right leg out, or you can have your foot on the ground and then bring that left knee in towards your chest. So slip your hands behind your knee, flexing your foot, and here we go. Extend and release. 3 more. This is the last one. And release. Stretch both legs out long. Reach both arms overhead for a good morning stretch. And then interlock your fingers. Place them underneath your head. And then bend your knees. Place your feet on the ground. And now bring your knees and your feet together to touch. So there's no space between your knees here. Your inner thighs are going to be working. Give a little wiggle with your spine so you've created space. And then bring your elbows just a little bit up off the mat so they're just in your peripheral, and you're not allowed to pull on your head. This is a hammock that is supporting your head. It is not pulling. We're going to nod the chin. And then as you breathe out, come up into a chest lift and feel how the rib cage pulls down towards the pelvis. And then release your rib cage back with control. So your head rests, but your elbows are floating. Nod your chin. Use your breath out. So the upper attachments of the abdominals are pulling forward. And then we get to release gently back down. As you curl forward, are you able to keep your pelvis nice and stable? If your lower back isn't happy, what do you need to do to your pelvic position to help you find that release in the lower back? And then releasing down with control. We're going to take 2 more. Breathing out as you curl forward. Stay for a moment, no pulling on the head, right? And releasing down. 1 more time. Here we go. Exhale. Stay there for a moment. Feel the flattening of the abdominal wall. And then releasing all the way back down. Slide your hands out and just bring your hands into a low V position. You can have the palms of the hands facing down. And I want you to pick up your right thigh and cross your right thigh over the left thigh. Start to roll your legs to the left. So you want to keep the right shoulder on the ground. And then if you want, you could look over the right shoulder. So you're doing a complete twist of the spine. And then breathe out as you come back to the center and almost think of wringing water out of a sponge. So you're really connecting to the obliques muscles here. And again, rolling your legs over, look over to the right side. And then exhale as you draw back to the center using the abdominals. And we're going to do 1 more time. So we're getting a little bit of a rotation into the spine. And then exhale, narrow the waist, draw back to the center with control. And now keep the legs crossed and bring both knees up into the chest. So you can either just leave your hands on your knees. For some people, that's enough of a stretch. But if you're quite flexible, you can slide your hands down towards the ankles. And with the right leg on top now, you should be getting quite a nice stretch into that deep right bum cheek. And it's a very specific little muscle. You guys have heard me talk about it. It's a very specific little muscle called the piriformis. And the piriformis loves to tighten up and overwork if the big bum cheek on top switches off. So the gluteus maximus, if it switches off, the piriformis will take over. And for some people, it traps that sciatic nerve. So this stretch is something that I do every day just to actually make sure I never have issues with the sciatic nerve. And we're going to take a breath in and then release, uncross, and just hug your knees in towards you for a moment. Chin in, round your spine, so you're bringing yourself into a tight little ball shape. And then releasing all the way down again. Now, put your right foot onto the ground. Cross your left thigh over. Guys, I have to apologize. They're mowing the big field next to us, so now the tractor's gonna drive up and down. So in case you're wondering what that noise is. So bring your hands a little bit wider again. And now roll your knees to the right. You can look over the left shoulder. Keep the left shoulder pinned down. And then exhale as you narrow the waist and you draw back towards the center. And again, rolling your knees across to the right. And don't force it. Just notice how your lower back likes this. And then exhale. Obliques muscles are pulling you back. And pause at the center. We're going to do one more time. And observe yourself. How is your range on this side in comparison to the first side? How are the connections? And then exhale, draw back to the center. And hold it right there. Now you're going to keep your legs crossed. Bring your knees up into your chest. And you can stay here if you like. Okay? Or start to slide your hands down towards the ankles or the feet. And this time, you're going to get a stretch into that deep left bum cheek, the piriformis. And just see if you can keep your head and shoulders nice and easy here. Maybe you need to put a pillow underneath your head. If you're quite tight, it might be easier for you with a pillow underneath your head. Taking just a few more moments. And then on your next breath, release, uncross, bring both knees to your chest, and then again, tuck yourself into a tight little ball shape. And releasing all the way back down. So we're going to practice a slow roll up. Take your hands behind your thighs. And we're going to be pouring body weight from our upper body down to our feet. Start to move your legs away from your chest. You feel a bit of tension between your thighs and hands. And then lift your head and round your spine and start to pour your weight towards your legs, towards your feet. So it's a slow, controlled roll up. This is perfect for people that have lower back issues, by the way. And then let your head rest lightly to your knees. And then start to roll yourself back again. And now you're going to pour your body weight from your feet towards your chest, towards your shoulders, towards your head. Super controlled. And then resting back for a moment. Let's do that again. And bringing your thighs away. Tuck your chin and breathe. Bringing your head towards your knees. And again, rolling back. Pouring body weight. And release. And this is going to be the last one, just so that we can come into a seated position. Move your thighs away. Nod your chin. And breathe. forehead towards your knees. And then roll all the way upright. And we're going to turn onto all fours here. So we do want to focus on a little bit of upper body strength as well. So we're going to do some push-ups, but we're focusing on technique. We're not focusing on making it really big unless you're super strong, right? So the first thing is getting your hands and wrists into a position that feels comfortable for you. Getting your knees underneath your hips. Now guys, it's really important that you keep your shins and your feet connected to the ground. If your feet lift up, it tells me that your hip flexors are taking over from the lower abs, and we want the lower abs connected, right? This is Pilates. So start by bending the elbows halfway. You don't have to go further than that. And then stay there and double check that your shins and feet are still on the ground. And then press yourself back up. Good. Now we're going to add on the direction of the elbows. So bend your elbows, and instead of letting the elbows pop to the side, keep them tucked in tight to your ribs and your body. Do you still have your feet down? And then press all the way back up. Good. Now we're going to add on the lower ab connection. So there's no dropping in the lower back, guys. Bending your elbows. Lower abs are connected to support the spine. And then press all the way up. Good. Now, your head is part of your spine. It's like a giant vertebra that's filled with brain. You're not allowed to let your face go to the ground. So, find your alignment, bend your elbows, keep reaching through the crown of your head. Do not let your head drop to the ground. And then press all the way up. Good. Now, we want to stay wide across our upper back. We're not going to let the scapula scrunch together. So glue the scapula onto your back. Bend your elbows wide across the back. And press all the way up. We're going to do 3 more with everything together. Here we go. Bend the elbows, feet, elbows, wide back, lower abs, energy through the crown, and press up. 2 more. Connect your movement to your breath. 1 more. And press. Tuck your toes under, and let's go into a downward facing dog position. So keep your knees super duper bent and just pedal the heels down for a moment. So you get that lovely stretch into the calf muscles and the Achilles tendons. And then push both heels to the ground. Remember, you can have your knees bent. There's no rule that says you've got to have the legs straight. And then bend your knees and just lower yourself all the way down. Relax your feet out for a moment. Start to walk your hands closer to your knees. Tuck your toes under. And all you're going to do is roll over your knees so that you're in a crouched position here. So it's like a resting position, except you're balanced on your feet. If your knees don't like it, then lift your hips up a little higher. Take a breath in, and then roll over the feet again. And now, if you can, keep your toes tucked under so that you get a bit of a stretch around the knuckles of toes. And then again, roll over your feet. So you're coming into a crouched position, like a resting position. And then lower your knees down towards the ground. 1 more time. Roll back. Now, walk your hands closer to your feet and see if you can start to lift your hips up so that you get your feet flat, and then bring your hands even closer and hang there for a moment. Now, you can have your knees bent, you can have your legs straight. just see if you can completely relax all the way into the neck and into the shoulders. Soften your knees and start to roll upright. Remember that you want to keep the abdominals connected to support your back. Feel how the bum cheeks work to support you as you come up. Rolling the shoulders back and around a few times. And then you can stay as you are. I'm just going to turn so that I'm facing towards you. And just allow your arms to settle. Take a moment to close your eyes, or you can just soften your gaze. And once again, bringing awareness to the soles of your feet. Observing how you are balancing on the right and the left sides. How you are balancing over the heels and the toes. Making any adjustments that you need to center yourself. Softening the knees slightly. Allowing your pelvis to balance evenly on the tops of your thighs. Creating some space between each of your vertebrae. Letting the energy travel up from the tailbone, the sacrum, up the lumbar spine, the thoracic spine, up over the neck, the cervical spine. And then just allow your head to float. Soften across your eyes. Notice the width across your collarbones and notice your scapula sitting on the back of your body. Bringing your awareness to your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists, and your hands. And then once again, coming to our breath, taking 3 deep breaths in and out. Notice the movement, the expansion of your ribs with each inhale. Squeezing the air from your lungs with each exhale. And then blinking your eyes open. Keeping those connections, even though you've got an awareness now of your outside surroundings. Both arms reach all the way up. Connect the palms of the hands to each other. And then exhale, open your arms wide, creating a little bit of space for yourself for the rest of your day. Rolling the shoulders back and around. Fantastic, guys. Thank you so much. Let me just turn on the audio if anybody has any questions. How does everybody feel? All good?
Lovely. Thanks very much, Renee.
Absolute pleasure, hey? So that was just a very gentle class, obviously. So very, very appropriate class for anybody that has lower back issues, anybody with sacroiliac joint issues, anybody who is a complete beginner. So a lot of people that are new to Pilates, they need those kinds of explanations and breakdown, you know? So for them to really be able to understand, okay, how do we isolate certain joints? How do we stabilize somewhere else? And yeah, just starting to educate people about the different joints, the movements, and also the muscles and the fascia.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
This is great.
Fabulous.
Renee.
Absolute pleasure. So let me just pause the